10 most commonly asked questions about a PEO. The first question I have for you today is, what is a PEO?
A PEO is a firm that provides outsourcing services to employers. It's a co-employment relationship, and the outsourcing services include HR, risk management, safety, loss control, payroll, workers' compensation, and employee benefits.
The second question I have for you is, why would a business use a PEO?
Well, unfortunately, right now, most businesses use a PEO for the savings on workers' comp, and that's what drives them. But in the big picture of it all, a PEO provides so much more than just savings on work comp. They provide HR, so they can either complement an existing HR service that you already have, staff that you already have, and make it better, as they have professionals and legal team to help. They can provide you HR if you're a small business and you currently don't have HR. And that's important, especially in California, because of all the HR laws that are being implemented every year. Risk management and safety, so they can provide you with all the stuff to remain compliant as far as your safety meetings, your tailgate, OSHA compliance. There's so much that they provide. So there's a lot more value than just the savings on work comp and the payroll services that are provided. But most companies right now take advantage of it for the savings on work comp, especially in the hard market.
Third question I have is, why can't a PEO save money on workers' compensation insurance?
Well, what a PEO does by nature is they aggregate payroll under their federal ID number. It's a co-employer relationship, but they have to take all the employer's employees and put them under theirs. So with that being said, they've gone out and got large deductible programs for their workers' compensation insurance. So a lot of the PEOs we work with have $1 million deductible on any claims that they would have. So they take the first hit up to $1 million on any claim before it hits the insurance company. So the insurance company gives them some great rates because they share the majority of the risk for each claim, not the insurance company. So with that being said, because of their volume, their risk management, their safety, their loss control, their large deductible programs, they can pass on the savings to an employer they feel has the right culture and are willing to change their ways if they've had a run of bad experiences with claims and workers' comp, or somebody that's done a great job they can reward even more.
My fourth question is, do you have a reference of companies like mine using a PEO?
You know, we have a large book of business. We're a PEO brokerage, so we deal with just about every industry under the sun. We have professional white-collar industries, so we've had doctors, attorneys that work through us. The value to them is the HR and the risk transference for managing the compliance portions. We have gray-collar industries such as light manufacturing, logistics, transportation. We have blue-collar industries, construction. So, yeah, the chances are that we're going to have a reference for somebody just like your company to be able to tell you how their experience has been with the PEO.
My fifth question is, do I lose control of my employees in a PEO arrangement?
In a PEO arrangement, it's defined as a co-employer relationship. Co-employment means that you still control the day-to-day activities of your employees. The PEO is responsible for the tax filings for the employees, the payroll side of it, making sure the workers' comp's there. They assist with risk management, safety, and control. They act as your back office for HR. But you still hire, manage, fire, and take care of the employees on a day-to-day basis. The employee does not step in and do that. The PEO does not step in and do that.
My sixth question is, do I have any liability by outsourcing to a PEO?
Yeah, because it is co-employment, you still retain some liability. Meaning, you're the one that's managing the employees on a day-to-day basis. So if you or somebody in your organization were to harass, discriminate, or do anything with any of those employees, you still could be held liable, even though the PEO is run. They run the payroll under them. Now, with that being said, a lot of the PEOs today require or provide EPLI that will cover both the employer and the PEO in case of a lawsuit or something that arises out of that type of thing. EPLI is Employers Practice and Liability Insurance. So you still have some liability, but it's definitely reduced liability as they are responsible for all the compliance side for you. And that's, in my experience, where most small businesses will fail, is in compliance. They have a great culture of how they treat their employees like a family, but with all the filings and documentation and everything that has to come with it, that's where I think it's a beautiful marriage with the PEO.
My seventh question is, will I retain my experience modification rate if I work with a PEO?
All reputable PEOs that have a compliant program or registered with the state of California will report to the WCIRB, and you will retain your modification rate. It's not something that you should lose by going with a PEO at all. Again, I emphasize a reputable PEO that is compliant. There are PEOs, it's like any other industry out there, that are trying to beat the system. We don't work with those type of PEOs. We want to make sure that everything remains compliant. Hopefully, if you're coming in with a high modification rate, as you work with the PEO's risk management, law, safety, and control, that will start dropping each year, and that will reflect with your company. So it's a positive in many cases, and yes, you will retain your experience modification rate with the PEOs that I place you with.
My eighth question is, does the PEO have to produce my payroll to work with them?
Yeah. In a PEO situation, they're required to bring on a client, they're required to aggregate your payroll and your workers' compensation insurance. Those are the two requirements for most PEOs. Some will add in employee benefits as a requirement, but they are required to do payroll. And because of that, they, I think, will rival any ADP or Paychex, and in many cases do a lot better service for a business owner. Very IT friendly, have a lot of different choices for them as far as payroll reporting, reports for the business owner to be able to look at the cost and break it down. But yes, to answer your question, they are required to run your payroll.
My ninth question is, I have heard bad things about PEOs. Are the rumors true?
Like anything else, there's some truth. When PEOs first started, and they've been around for a number of years, but about 30 years ago when they were first coming into play, a lot of them weren't very mature in their processes. Over the years, they're regulated just like any other industry, and there's the good and the bad in every industry. Part of our job as a brokerage is to make sure that we weed through. We fly out, we meet with the CEOs, the executive teams of all the PEOs, and make sure that the ones we represent are compliant. They've got compliant programs, are admitted to work in California, and that they have a happy client base for references before we get started with them. So, going back to the question, I believe the answer is some of what you heard was probably from years and years ago. Today's PEO are, ADP and Paychex run PEO divisions. Outsourcing is becoming more and more mainstream because it allows the business owner to do what they do best and allows the PEO to do what they do best. And in most cases, you're going to save a considerable amount of money and time when you quantify all the things a PEO will be able to do for you.
The 10th and final question is, if a PEO is a good option, why haven't I heard about more PEOs?
On the West Coast, and mainly in California, because we're so heavily regulated, a lot of PEOs haven't popped up here like they have on the East Coast. Florida is the PEO capital of the world. I think 98% of the business owners have dealt with or know of a PEO or had some interaction with a PEO at some point in the game on the East Coast and in the Florida area. Here in California, they've been around a long time, but they've served more an exclusive market, a lot of white collar. They stayed out of a lot of the blue collar industries that now we're able to bring quality PEOs to. I think it's an educational process that and publicity. There hasn't been a lot of PR that's positive on PEOs, but that's not to say they're not there. In last year, the corporate advocate alone, we placed over $200 million in payroll with PEOs, and I have numerous clients that are successful and happy and retaining the services of PEO year after year. So I think as the market continues to harden for workers' compensation insurance, they continue to add more laws for HR and compliance, you're going to see PEOs become more and more viable, especially in California, because we're the most regulated state in the nation.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Take care.